Are you ready to finish it? Let's finish it. There was once a great magician, kind, generous, and good-hearted. But unlike all other good magicians in children's legends, this magician was so very kind. He missed having someone to share his goodness with. He had no one to love or care for, and no one to play with, to be with, or to think about. Besides, he longed for someone to know him and to care about him, because it's very sad to be alone. So what did he do? Let's see. He thought to himself, I know. I'll make a pebble, a tiny one, but very beautiful. I will gently hold it and stroke it, and feel it always by my side. And we will be together, the pebble and I, because it's very sad to be alone. He waved his magical stick, and chack! A pretty little pebble rested in the good magician's hand. He stroked the smooth little pebble and wrapped it lovingly in his warm palm. He spoke lovingly to it, but the stone didn't answer. It just lay there in his hand, motionless and silent. And worst of all, it did not return his love. No matter what he did to it, the stone would not become friendly or even react at all. He thought, is this the way to treat a good magician? How come the sweet-looking pebble isn't responding? Maybe there is something wrong with it. Perhaps I should make more pebbles, and maybe they will be friendlier and return my friendship. So the magician made more pebbles, then larger stones, rocks, hills, mountains, the earth, and even the whole universe. But they were all like the first pebble. They didn't move, didn't speak, and just didn't respond at all. And once again, he felt how sad it was to be alone. In his sadness, he wondered, perhaps I should make a plant instead. Yes, a very beautiful flower. I'll water it, give it lots of fresh air, beam down warm sunshine, and play sweet music to it. The plant will be so happy, and then we'll both be happy because it's very sad to be alone. The good magician waved his hand with his magic stick again, and Jack, a pretty little flower appeared right next to his chair with its rosy petals and long and gentle leaves. The flower looked exactly as he pictured it. The magician was so excited he began to skip and hop around it and sang the most cheerful songs he knew, but the plant wouldn't dance with him. It wouldn't sing either. All it did was grow when he watered it and shrivel when he didn't. This was not nearly enough for such a good-hearted magician who wanted to give his heart and soul to his friend, the flower. Again, the magician wondered, is this the way to treat a good magician? How come this pretty little flower isn't responding? Perhaps I should make more flowers. Perhaps they will return my friendship. So the magician made all kinds of plants. Meadows with carpets of red and yellow and blue flowers, groves and forests, vast savannas and dense jungles. But no matter what kind of plant he made, they all behaved just like the first flower. Once again, the good magician was alone and sad. Realizing that the situation called special action, the magician sat on his magic thinking rock. He thought and thought and thought some more until he heard a wonderful idea. I know, he said out loud, I'll make an animal. But what kind of animal? Perhaps a dog? Yes, a dog. I'll make a cute little pup that will always be with me. I'll take it for walks, play with it, and when I return to my castle, the dog will jump for joy and wiggle its tail to greet me. Yes, the magician smiled to himself. The dog and I will be happy, very happy together, because it's very sad to be alone. Hopeful, the magician waved his magic stick, and shock! A cute little puppy rested in his hands. Exactly, he had pictured it. The good magician was elated. He fed the dog, cuddled and caressed its soft curly fur. He took it on walks and even gave it bubble baths. For sure, this was the most spoiled pup ever, but after some time, the magician realized that a dog's love was not the kind of love he wanted. A dog just wants to sit next to its owner and obey its owner. The magician was very sad to see that even such a cute little pup that played so cheerfully and followed him wherever he went still couldn't return all the good-heartedness that he wanted to give it. He realized that a dog just couldn't be the kind of friend that he was looking for. It couldn't understand the things he did for it, how he cared for his dog, and how he troubled with the food and games he made for it. The dog could not appreciate all that, and this was what the magician really needed, a friend who would appreciate his kindness and good heart. As with the pebble and the flower, the magician made many other kinds of animals, beetles, fish, snakes, monkeys, birds, and bears. Still not a single animal could understand him and be the friend he was seeking. Again, the magician was sad and very much alone. And once again, the magician turned to his thinking rock to determine what to do. He thought and thought and thought really hard. This time, he had a whole plan worked out. He realized that a true friend must be someone who would search for him as much as he was searching. Someone who would want to find him as much he wanted to find his friend. Then after some more thinking, he said to himself, a friend must be someone like me, who does what I do and loves the way I love. That's the only way he could really understand me. But to be like me, he would have to understand and appreciate what I'm giving him. This way he could return my love and do for me what I will do for him. Then we would both be happy. For 3 days and 3 nights, the magician sat on his magic rock and thought about his next creation. Finally, he had a brilliant idea. Why don't I make man? Yes, what a great idea. He could be my true friend. He could be just like me. If I make him just right, he will love what I love and appreciate what I will give him. He'll just need a little bit of help. And then we will be very happy, because we'll never be alone. But to be happy, the magician knew, his friend would first need to feel what it was like being alone and without a friend. Actually, he would have to feel what it is like being without the magician's friendship. With new hope in his heart, the magician waved his magic stick for the 4th and last time. Shock! But this time, 2 things happened. A man was made, but he was made in a very faraway land. So far away that the man didn't even know about the magician. He saw the mountains, the stars, and the trees, the flowers, the fish, and the animals, but he didn't know that it was the magician who made them. He didn't even know there was a magician. But the mission did not stop there. He made a computer, football, basketball, and all kinds of games so the man, his new friend, would enjoy himself. But all the while, the magician was still alone and very sad because his friend didn't know about him. The man didn't know that there was a magician who made him, who loved him and waited for him. He didn't know that the magician was whispering, "Come, join me, we can be happy together," because it's truly very sad to be alone. But how can someone who doesn't know the magician and has a computer, football, and all kinds of fun things to do suddenly want to find him? How can someone like that even want to know and love him? Can such a person be the magician's true friend and tell him, "Come, my good magician, let's be together and happy, because I know how sad it is to be alone"? The man knew only what he saw around him. He wanted to have what others had, do what others did, and talk about what others talked about. He didn't know that someone out there was a good magician who was sad to be alone. Well, our magician is a clever one. He had a plan in mind. In fact, he'd had it all along, and he was only waiting for the right moment to carry it out. And one sunny day, the right moment came. The magician stood very far from his friend and very softly whispered straight again into his friend's heart. Chack! A voice was calling in the man's heart. And when the magician, his magic stick, once more The man began to think, ha, there is a magician. Very interesting. I wonder what he's like. All of a sudden, the man began to think that perhaps it wasn't that much fun being without a magician in his life, that he would actually be much happier with him. And the man suddenly felt that somewhere very far away, there was a land, and that land was a tower filled with treasures. And in that tower sat a wise and kind magician, just waiting for him. And the magician was whispering, "Hello, friend, I am waiting for you. Together we will be happy, and alone we will be sad." But the man didn't even know where to find a land with a tower in it. He didn't even know which way to look for it. The man was sad, confused, and he wondered, how do I meet the magician? And all while that gentle tap was patting his heart, he couldn't sleep, he couldn't eat, he couldn't stop imagining the tall tower in his mind. That happens when you search for something really hard but can't find it. For the man to be as wise as the magician, a powerful and good-hearted, the magician had to teach him how to do the same wonders he himself could do. But was not enough for that. This was something the man had to do for himself. To help him, the magician gently and secretly led him to an ancient magical book called the Book of Zohar. This book taught the man the way to the high tower in the faraway land. Following the instructions in the book, the man rushed to meet his friend, the magician. He wanted to tell him, "Hello, I've come to be with you. I know we will be happy together." But when the man reached the tower, he discovered that all around it was a high wall, surrounded by scary guards. They pushed him away every time he tried to approach and wouldn't let the man and the magician meet, much less to be together. And the more the man insisted, the tougher and more forceful the guards became. They had no mercy. The man was in despair. His dear friend, the magician, was hidden in the tower. The gates were locked. The wall was high. The mean guards kept pushing him away. No one could enter, and no one could leave the tower. The man thought, what am I going to do? If we cannot